basically I want to start at the beginning.
8 years old, it was a song called Crazy Horses by the Osmonds. Yeah, they were like, covered in vomit and, sperm and cigarette butts. What was the reason why you had Christopher Walken tap dancing in the videos? Like, because we thought it would be funny. No. Fuck, I can sample anything.
Which you did. You did do it.
Somebody once told me they lost their virginity to one of my tunes. Which sort of freaked me out.
Fucking in heaven.
At the same time, I said, when we were making the documentary, looking back at the footage, I'm like, my God, that was mental.
It was unreal.
It's like I was there, and it's even more mental than I remember it. It was a breeding ground, and it was a sharing of ideas, and we would invite other DJs down who we thought were doing interesting things, and we'd sort of compare notes with what they were doing.
I like that.
And my advice to all aspiring DJs, play weddings. If you can play a wedding to a load of strangers who don't know each other, but the fame bit of it, it's just bollocks.
Good to go. Oh my God.
Good luck, studio.
I know. Woo. Right, come on, hey. Right, okay, so...
let's get some energy in the room.
Come, we need to get something in here. Right, so I actually can't believe I'm saying this, right? But I'm down in Minehead and we're filming a podcast with Norman Cook, a.k.a. Fatboy Slim. Come on, that's where you've got to cheer! Come on! What is happening? How you doing?
Good evening, Minehead.
It'll be long after this has happened.
Yeah.
But we're all back to Minehead.
Yeah, and this is my cosy seaside apartment.
It's lovely.
A cosy Butlin seaside apartment.
Way nicer than my one, anyway.
Yeah.
Way nicer than my one.
Well, welcome to All Back to Minehead.
It's my first ever time down here. I've never been to Butlins in my life.
Well, I think you're in for a treat.
I've honestly...
This is only my second. We did it for the first time last year, and it was a bit of a leap of faith. I'll be honest. I wasn't quite sure how it works and
what made you want to do it?
It was on my manager's bucket list. My management managed Madness, and Madness had been doing one for 10 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the House of Fun. And it was really established, and every year I'd hear about, how mental it was, just to get a tribe of people in one place. And so Butlins they have like a darts weekend and a 80s weekend. And so every weekend a tribe come and exist in this holiday camp and do their stuff.
Yeah.
And so Madness had been doing it, and they retired after 10 years, and the slot was going, and I got asked to do it. And I wasn't sure, but my manager goes, he was at one of my arena gigs, and he said, I was just looking at everyone, and I could see them at Butlins doing it, but taking it a bit that further, that feeling of connection and community that you get during a 2-hour gig, even in, like a weird place like an arena, it's a bit of a soulless kind of place. Yeah. The idea that if we could do that for a 2-hour show and where we get to, and everybody hugging each other at the end of a 2-hour show, imagine doing it all weekend. And you've got the whole place, and it's just you and your lot. But it was
you're cruising about. You're cruising about the whole weekend.
Yeah,
you're just checking out different bits, different stages. Like you're here the whole weekend.
Well, I play every single stage on the weekend under different aliases.
Yeah,
and we do a Q&A, and I just spent an hour and a half checking people in on the way in. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing's quite tongue in cheek. I mean, for me, the reason it works is that my audience go from last year, the oldest was 80.
Yeah. My God.
And the youngest was 18. So it's quite a broad spectrum of ages, and people come from different, backgrounds and whatever. But the one thing that unites everyone is they like the same music as me, and they've got the same sense of humour as me.
Yeah.
And those two things, put them together and just distill them. It works really well because it gets very silly. Everybody loves the music, but they also like dressing up.
Yeah, so I'm going to explain it a little bit. So you're saying he was doing a shift earlier on. He was actually doing a shift on the door, like checking people in their cars. I seen you. So I actually seen you. I was like, oh my God. I was like, I can't believe he's actually in that booth there doing that, checking people in. It was bizarre. I was like, the people would be freaking out seeing you like going, all right, can I have my passes in that, please? But it was quite funny.
Well, if you know me, you know my sense of humour. And the thing is, everybody here seems to know and agree with my sense of humour.
Yeah.
That's the one of the reasons so people. But also they kind of know and agree with my idea that dance music or all music unites people. It brings people together, and that connection and that shared experience of euphoria or love or stupidity, it's a very powerful thing. So I think everybody's here is like, after a few hours, they realise that that's what it's all about.
I was getting that vibe earlier on. I was walking, it was really deadly quiet last night when we got here. I was like, I just have no idea what this is going to be like.
Yeah, you can't picture it until people come in.
Nah.
It's like it's an off-season holiday resort.
Yeah.
But then it becomes something else.
It looked like a film set. It looked like a film set when we were coming in. I was like, I do not have a clue.
A film set for a not very glamorous film.
Yeah. No, I felt like Pearl Harbor or something when I was coming in with the houses and that. I was like, this looks like I can't picture it. And this morning, me and my girlfriend were in one of the apartments and we heard people coming in and we're like, right, we're getting it now. We're getting the vibe.
And it's because it's like a festival, but you're not in a tent, so everybody can drive in with all their gear, and people have brought their own DJ setups for the after parties. You can bring your own drinks and food.
I'll need to take my USB to that.
That was the funny thing where last year, the first time I did it, when I first did the check-in, looking in the back of people's cars, and it just stacked up with outfits,
speakers and outfits,
but a lot of people bring their little DJ setups for the after parties. No, it's great.
It's good, honestly.
I think you're going to have a good weekend.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have a good weekend too. I'm already having a good weekend. I'm already 12 hours in. I'm loving it. But so obviously over the weekend there's a couple. You visit a few different venues and you're obviously playing. But over the weekend, who are you excited to kind of see DJing or hear DJing?
The only downside of the way it's structured, I don't really get to see anybody else.
Okay.
Because between my sets and between the things, I'm just busy the whole time, so I haven't really got time. I'm playing for 3.5 hours tonight, so that's...
Is that longer than you would normally play for?
Yeah. Generally...
2 hours is general time.
Generally, it's 2 hours. Yeah. If I'm allowed, when I'm playing in a club, I ask for 3.
Yeah.
But then when we do the really big shows, sunset or it's festivals, you only get like an hour and a half.
Yeah, I know.
But an hour and a half, you've only really just got warmed up.
Just get started, don't you?
No, I love playing longer sets.
Yeah.
And so I don't really get a chance to see the other acts, but most of the other acts have been handpicked by me because I really like them.
That's kind of the answer I was thinking you were going to give.
Yeah. It's not like, I really want to check out so-and-so. It's like, I've checked them all out. That's why they're here.
That's why they're coming,
I trust them to be doing their job. You know?
Yeah, no, I think they all will do their job. I mean, I can hear the music actually coming from the site just now. Yeah. But I think that I want to kind of do this every single podcast. I don't know if you've seen it, but basically I want to start at the beginning. Okay. Right? At the beginning of everything, right? Because it's the best place to start, right? So when you first started getting into music, right, and started really kind of enjoying music and thinking this could be something I would do as a career, I suppose. When was that?
8 years old.
8 years old. And tell me the song or the moment.
8 years old. It was a song called "Crazy Horses" by the Osmonds.
Okay.
And they were like
they were horses.
Wow. And they came over to England, and I saw them on the telly. And Donny Osmond had a leather jacket with his name written in studs on the back, and he had a piano with light bulbs that lit up when he played it. My 8-year-old me just went, "That's what I want to do." So from then on, I'd always loved music, but from then on, it's like I wanted to be part of that gang. Yeah. You know, I wanted to do that for a living. And then as I sort of came of age, punk rock came around, and then it was like that made it way more accessible, because before you just thought these pop stars, they're a different elite, but punk rock removed all those sort of boundaries. Like anyone can do it. Here's a drum kit, now form a band.
That's mad.
And so I like that idea, and that's when I started playing in bands and seriously making music. But at the same time, I'd always been a record collector. I was obsessive about buying records. Because of that, I used to get invited to parties, and that's how I started DJing. Was I'd get invited to parties for my records, not for my personality, or not because I.
I'm sure they once you got there, they were like,
Well, this sort of became my personality. Yeah. So DJing was always a hobby because I love music. But
so what was the kit like back then? So you'd obviously turn up to parties, but they got one record deck. And then, you got the volume control on the stereo, or what?
There was a moment. Basically, I just used to take my little box of 7-inch singles to the party, but they always used to get absolutely knackered, covered in vomit and sperm and cigarette butts. And
been there, mate. Been there.
So one time, a girl invited me, and she said, "Oh, can you bring records?" I went, "No. You know what? They always get absolutely ruined." And she said, "Well, what if my dad hires those double decks?" And you're like the DJ. And I was like, well, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
And so, so it was like a Citronic Thames 2 console was the go-to console. which had 2 garage belt-driven decks. No
belt drive. You've got to get them
no vari speed or anything like that. And then like a really rudimentary mixer.
Nice.
And I started doing it. And as soon as I started being the performer playing the records, it took on a whole new life.
It was the new thing.
And I really enjoyed being, the life and soul of the party and in control of the party. And I really enjoyed playing my favourite records to people and making them dance.
Choosing the direction in which it's going, like making the party giving
and
the
just
vibe.
Just sharing. For me, when I hear a good tune, all I want to do is share it with other people. I just want to bore everybody in my house. It's like, have you heard this? So I'm kind of that sort of person that I like to share the music with other people. So that mixed with my sort of inherent sort of show off kind of
the bravado
personality, so the first time I did it, everyone was like, so then like next weekend, it's like, oh, can you come and DJ? It's like, if your dad will hire the decks, I'll DJ.
Yeah.
And so for the first sort of year, I was DJing, but I didn't actually I couldn't afford decks.
I think a lot of people are like that now anyway.
So then I would do parties just so I could have a go on the decks, But there was no mixing or anything like that involved. It was just chucking record. Yeah, just chucking the next record. And then a mate of mine started doing, he had a mobile setup. So we started doing weddings and other people's parties.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And then I had to go on the mic a bit, which again, he was too shy to go on the mic. So he used to bring it along because I used to do, but we used to do like,
that's a good way to cut your teeth though.
Yeah. I mean, my advice to all aspiring DJs, play weddings. If you can play a wedding to a load of strangers who don't know each other and then watch them as they get drunk, you mould them all together. Yeah. And by the end, they're all hugging each other and, doing congas around the room. And that's the way that music unites people. And so I cut my teeth doing weddings and underage parties and the local hockey club disco and
what kind of age were you at when you were doing that?
15, 16.
Nice. Yeah. Proper early doors. Yeah. Proper early doors. So House Martins came along, like when you were in that band. How old were you when you were in House Martins?
I was 22 by then. But then I moved down to Brighton. But then I went to college in Brighton. But then I'm old enough to play in nightclubs.
So you were doing that all the way through?
Yeah.
And then?
I DJ'd my way through college. And then Paul, who's an old mate of mine from school, he recruited me to come back because we'd been in bands together. So then they needed a bass player and they had a record contract and tour. And I'm like, well, I'll do that. But it wasn't really my kind of music. But it was brilliant. It was so exciting for your child. That was my childhood dream. That was the Donny Osmond bit.
Yeah.
And then, but
it's a full circle thing, isn't it? Because it's like, you obviously, was that maybe at that time you were probably thinking this could be the gateway into maybe doing something along those lines? Because obviously the DJ thing at that point.
Because in those days DJing wasn't a job.
Exactly.
It was a hobby. You didn't get paid enough to actually make it a career. You were just the nerdy bloke in the corner of the club.
Still am.
Who played records.
Am.
There were no superstar DJs. We didn't get paid much. So it was. I never thought of it as a career. It was just a hobby because I love playing music to people.
Yeah.
And so I carried on doing it when I was in bands. I carried on doing it just as a hobby.
Yeah.
But it was another 10 years before it became an actual occupation.
I think maybe the time that you'd put in from that early doors obviously made a massive difference in that time. Yeah. And then I guess would it have helped like doing the touring as a band and doing all that stuff, get you total prepped and ready to go?
That was it, yeah. I mean, when I came back to DJing as a career, like you said, I already had the chops as a DJ.
Yeah.
But then I'd spent the last 5-6 years being in pop bands, so I kind of knew how pop music worked. I knew how production worked.
Yeah.
And I knew what chords were and how they worked together and stuff like that. So I kind of had a head start on the other DJs who were trying to make records.
Yeah.
And I had a head start on bands who wanted to get into dance culture because I was already steeped in it.
Yeah.
So, and that was kind of when we sort of landed.
But what was the turning point? So obviously having decided that you're going to leave the House Martins and go, right, I'm going to do this thing and I'm going to do the solo route and kind of make your own music and do it yourself. What was the turning point in that? Like, because obviously you had been in bands, and then did you just feel like that was the moment? Like, everything was kind of going that way?
Yeah. Well, the House Martins split up because I just wanted to, all my mates who I'd been DJing with, like Cold Cut and Tim Simonon, they were all having hits. And I was like, oh, shit, they're having hits with the music that I really love.
Yeah.
And I'm stuck in this band who I don't love music.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the end of the house markets for me. But then the turning point for me was the first thing I did next was remix a record for a mate of mine, which is Eric B. and Rakim. I Know You Got Soul.
Hello.
I remixed it and I put the Jackson 5 on it, and it got to like number 2.
That was the start of the kind of ethos.
It got to number 2 in the charts, that
That's
remix.
mental.
So literally within 2 weeks, I had this whole new career, and it was one, like I said, that I already had all the bits,
the pieces.
Yeah.
So like obviously that change was like I was a bit, and at the time as well, I think that like during that time, dance music was like things like that, you know, sampling records and all that stuff was like really just like you could do it in your house. Like you could have a studio in your house and do that. So how did you take to like obviously changing direction like that, being a kind of solo guy and doing that yourself? Did you just kind of roll straight into it, or did you go like, take hard on the not having a band around you to kind of help you?
No, I sort of went the collective route at first. So 'cause the first thing I did was started off as Norman Cook featuring.
Yeah.
But after 2 singles became Beats International, which was like a collective.
I know Beats International.
And
Sampled one of their records before.
Right. Sorry, we did a lot too. But that was like it came out of when I was DJing. Like my mates who were MCs, they would rap up, they would MC over it, and then a graffiti writer who would paint backdrop while we were doing it.
Cool.
And then we had a percussionist and stuff like that. So it was sort of like not a traditional band. But in those days you had like Soul to Soul and the Wild Bunch and people like that, and there was a lot of crews like that. So that was the first avenue, which was making kind of dance music, but not actually really being a proper band. Like you said, I was making it in my bedroom. Yeah. But acting like we were a band, like we were a collective. Yeah. You know, rather than, so I didn't go solo immediately. No, you had other people around you as well, which is kind of probably softened the blow of like not having to do. But it sort of felt like we were a band, even though we didn't record in the traditional way. Yeah. So what kind of stuff were you using back then? This is like the boring bit, like the nerdy bit you were saying earlier on. But what kind of stuff were you using back then? Oh, when that first remix, I couldn't afford a sampler because they were like the price of a house in those days. So we'd use a Bell delay unit where you could get 2 seconds in and then repeat it. But you had to manually get that to loop. Time it, yeah. And you sit there just like tapping the knob to make it loop, to make a drum loop. And then with the proceeds for the first remix, I bought a Roland S10, which gave me 4 seconds sampling. You doubled it. So I could have overnight. I could have a kick drum, a snare, a hi hat, and on 4 different notes, or I could have one drum loop. That's class. then just using an Atari to program it, just using what you had. And I had a 303, I had an 808, I had a Mini Moog, and a song, and whatever song. You just went to work. But then when the Akai S series came, the S900 and the S950, then all of a sudden you get 25 seconds of song. Yeah. And that would have been crazy, going from like having to use like a pedal pretty much to like going to that. That would have been like, whoa, I can actually do insane stuff now. Fuck, I can sample anything. Which you did. You did do it. Mate, I was like, obviously, because I'm a professional, I did a bit of research. Not that I had to do that much. But it's like over the years, there's obviously been a few points at which like you've been probably pulled up for your sampling, which I actually quite like. I think that's good, like, especially nowadays with like everyone's sampling everything nowadays from your era now. And like, I mean, I've done it. I nicked one of your songs. And then I was like, wait, obviously when I was speaking to Andy and I was like, do you think he'll be okay with it? And they were like, yeah, you'll be totally fine with it. He did it. Do you know what I mean? So never kidder. Yeah, man. You know the script. Do you know what I mean? But so obviously after like you've basically had about, I think you've got a Guinness World Record. That's one of my facts that I pulled up. A Guinness World Record for the amount of aliases you've had in the top 40. Yeah. Is that right? Yeah. That's absolutely insane. What was the reason behind having to have so many aliases? Did you want to do different avenues, or what was it? Well, it wasn't just aliases. Obviously, I've been in the music business a long time, so I've been in a lot of different bands. So it wasn't the most at the same time. It was like over a long career. I had different hits. But at one point, I did have 4. I had Pizza Man, Mighty Dubcats, Freak Power, and Fatboy Slim.
All rolling at
once. All going at once.
Oof.
So I was making, and basically it meant I could make 4 times as many records as everybody else. Because I had 4 different names. And pre-internet, no one really knew who they all were. So no one really, knew. One of them, they knew it was me, but nobody knew I was Fatboy Slim. No one knew I was Pizza Man.
That's mad.
No one cared who the Mighty Dubcats were. So Freak Power is the only one that I was actually officially in.
Yeah.
And we just put out, and like you said, we'd press up some of the stuff like the Mighty Dubcats. Me and Gary, my manager, would just press up 1,000 copies of a
just
white
get out.
And then sell it off the vans and see if it did well, then we'd press up another. And if it did really well, we'd license it on to a proper record company. Yeah. But yeah, it was
proper
fun,
DIY. Proper
DIY, but proper anonymity. I mean, like a lot of people, and it's like, but in those days, it's like you would let people know it was you because you'd want them to think you were black, stuff like that.
Right, I get what you mean. Because obviously,
because if people found out, everybody wanted to play American black music.
Yeah.
So if they found out you were British and white, you're not so hip anymore.
Genuine. Yeah.
So there was things like that went on, where she literally used to not tell people who you were, so because you didn't want them.
You want to be like, you want to come from that ilk, but it's like, I think that now as well, but you wear it well on your sleeve now. Like, so obviously this weekend you're doing the Pizza Man, like you're doing a pool party tomorrow as a Pizza Man, which is, I was trying to explain to my girlfriend, and she was like, "Wait, that's Fatboy Slim." I was like, "Yeah, it's Fatboy Slim. He's going to do a pool party tomorrow."
Yeah, but I won't do it as I wouldn't. Because there was when we first came up with that idea, people are like, so you're going to play like a Dubcats style set for the Dubcats set, Pizza Man for the Pizza Man. I'm like, I don't want to play 2 hours of Pizza Man music. So they're just harking back to things. But it is quite interesting because the reason we did that here at Minehead was that we can't fit all the people into all the venues. And part of when we do the really big show on Saturday night, the rest of the venues hold like 2,000. We've got 4,500 here. So if I played in one room, the people would go, I paid to see Fatboy Slim and you won't let me in the room, in that room that he's playing in. So we thought if we just gently
spread it out.
But all you have to do is Google Mighty Dubcats and you'll find out.
I know, mate. It's honestly, it's like all the information's at fingertips. Like if you go on like, I've obviously.
But you see, now it is.
Now it is. It wasn't back then.
In those days, I would meet people and they're just like, I just found out you're the Mighty Dubcats.
Yeah, but that's kind of cool. I like that. I like the fact that it was like kind of like a pseudonym, like a secret kind of alias. I think that was probably worked in your favor because then people are not going to judge whatever you're putting out. Yeah. Like, because they'll just go, oh, it's a Fatboy Slim record, and they'll know if they like it or not. Yeah. Whereas you were making different stuff. Yeah. So it's like, it's not getting prejudged. That happens an awful lot. The stuff I feel anyway. I think so we've spoke about obviously aliases, we spoke about all that stuff. We need to kind of move into the Fatboy Slim era because for me, like what I was saying before the podcast, like that was my first taste of like dance music, and I don't know
what did it taste like.
Unreal.
Describe it.
Unreal. Tasty. It was so the yellow cassette that I bought was Bird of Prey. Right, I've already just said that, right? And it was. So I remember hearing "We've Come a Long Way, Baby," in my Auntie Tracy's car. Right, I was young. I think I was 9 or something, or 9 or 10, and it blew my mind. Like I was like, I didn't know that the music existed like that, and then obviously got into it, and I was like 11 and went and bought a cassette from Woolies. But I'm thinking like, so what? The move into being Fatboy Slim, did you think that like that stuff was going to become so commercially viable? Because I was only like 10, 11 at the time. No. And it spoke to me. And I think that's kind of mad. Like I can't imagine my music speaking to...
Yeah, I had no idea that it would... Because in those days, dance music didn't really... It was just starting to cross over. Yeah. But it was still kind of kept in its own compartment. It wasn't really played in like daytime radio. The internet didn't exist. So vast swathes of people never heard it, particularly young people. Like in those days, if you weren't old enough to get into a nightclub, you never really heard that music. Unless you listened to Pete Tong on a Friday night. It was the only time it was played on the radio.
I did sometimes.
And so younger people never heard it. So no, I had no idea that it would cross over and become, that commercially successful. I had no idea that kids would listen to it.
Yeah.
Now here's an interesting question. Had I known that so many sort of under 10s would dig my music when their parents played it, would I still put Fucking in Heaven on that album?
That track.
Because
when I was younger.
Because I remember my sister saying, I gave her a cassette of the album and she played it and she said, yeah, I was really loving it till track 4.
Yeah.
Said, and you know, my 4-year-old and my 6-year-old are listening to it, and I'm diving across the room trying to get that track off. They said, I think we'd had 17 fuckings by the time that I actually got to switch it off. And she said, I dived across the room and switched it off. And I looked at my kids and they just went, naughty Uncle Norman really is naughty, isn't he?
Yeah.
But the thing is, I had no idea that kids would listen to music. And I think I probably still would have put it on if they did. But no, you're right. I mean, I bought a cassette of the Rolling Stones, Black and Blue, probably about the same age as you. And just remember, it was like the only one I had, so I listened to it over and over again. And those things stay with you. So, you know, things about them stay with you. But it was I had no idea. And I had no idea it would appeal to children. But then thinking about it, it's quite childish. A lot of my music is quite childish. So I think
it's got a fun part to it. But I think, like, also, even not just the age range, but I think, like, demographically, like, I mean, you are massive across the globe. And, like, your songs have been used in adverts. Like, even that, to me, that tells me that, like, your songs are, like, you know, they don't want to put songs in adverts.
I think it's probably just because they're not too lyrical.
Yeah, but they're a little bit. They're a little bit lyrical.
I remember at one point, so I was going, I can't believe that, you know, people in Mexico would like the music. It's like, well, there's not a lot to translate, really, is there?
Yeah, no, there's not. It's like, it's pure one line.
Yeah.
One line of lyrics and that's it. I think that, so, like, obviously, at that point when you were, like, becoming Fatboy Slim and you were putting stuff, Rockefeller Skank was, like, one that kind of, like, blew you up. But at that time, were you doing the Big Beat Boutique at that point?
Oh, yeah.
You were in the thick of that at that point. And, like, what was, do you know what's mad? I'm asking you the question so the people on the podcast know, but I actually have watched and I know what it looked like and it looked fun. Like, so what was that like? Big Beat Boutique. What was that like at the time?
It was fabulous. Probably my fondest memory of my whole career was those Friday nights in the Scout Hut. It was just like, for me, it was like the Beatles in the Cavern Club. Yeah. It was like I used to play, I was the resident there for like 3-4 years. Yeah. And every week it's like, how far can we push this? You know, every week it would be more outrageous in mixing of genres and, like, one week I'd just play Brazilian carnival music, you know. That's unreal. It's like, how far can we push this? And it just seemed like the more barriers we broke down, the more rules we broke, the more people came. And the other thing was every week, it's like, how many people are going to come?
Open up to more and more like people.
Queues round the block. And it was beautiful because it was like a breeding ground for all the different skint artists.
Yeah, it was.
So there would be other people from around the country and they would come down and play at the boutique, and then, or because they'd got signed to Skint, or then they would get signed to Skint because they played the boutique. And so it just cherry picking all these different people who had the same idea as us, distilling it. And then, you know, because the Chems had the Heavenly Social in London. Yeah. And we just wanted our own version so we didn't have to schlep up to London every week. But it was a beautiful time. London. It was kind of every week we knew, like, we're doing something really different and interesting and successful here. And every week the queues are getting bigger, and every week, you know, and then, you know, sort of journalists are coming down from London to check out what the hell is going on. And it just, like I said, the more rules we broke, the naughtier we were, the more successful we were. Which is
crossing over the genres and stuff.
It's a heady brew in your in a working career, that, like, the naughtier you are, the more successful you are.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a bit of a mad conconcoction that, like, it leaves no
ultimately possibly dangerous.
Yeah, a little bit dangerous. But then, do you know what? I think that's makes for better creativity.
Yeah. But it was good. We felt we had artistic freedom to do what we wanted to do, but also it was a breeding ground, and it was a sharing of ideas. And we would invite other DJs down who we thought were doing interesting things, and we'd sort of compare notes with what they were doing.
I like that.
And, you know, we get sort of like Aphrodite from the Jump Up Brigade to come down and play a sort of break set. You know, there was lots of cross pollination. It was
good.
That was great.
Obviously, proper fed into, like, the Fatboy Slim ethos as well, because you've pulled from so many different places. Like, even all the biggest tracks, if you look at, like, where the samples have come from, it's like,
Most of them were just either records that were in my collection. I've got quite an eclectic taste in music anyway. Yeah. Or I used to, when I first started getting successful with the first album, I was going to America a lot, and I was just on every day off, I'd just spend it in thrift stores, just buying up cheap records that looked interesting. Nice. And literally buy a whole box of them and bring them back and just looking for little samples and loops. But the idea was that there's no rules. We didn't know what the rules were about sampling and the legalities of it. But also it was like nothing is taboo. So you could have, a sample from a country and western record sitting next to a rapper, sitting next to a northern soul drum beat,
Yeah, it's mad.
And, with a bit of surf guitar over the top, why not? If it works. So, that was the idea. It was breaking musical rules by putting records together out of other people's records and by not respecting what genres or eras or style of music they came from.
I think that's probably a massive part of the success of those records. Those like Fatboy Slim records is like, it just draws in people, fans of those types of music in, because they hear that a little bit, the hook of each bit, and it just...
Well, that's what you've got it right there. It's all about the hooks. It's like the hooks from different walks of life, but it was just... That was especially by the second album, You Come a Long Way, Baby. It's like, just hit 'em with hook after hook after hook. That's what people react. But that's something that comes from DJing.
Yeah.
You get to see which bits of the record people respond to.
Yeah.
Especially women.
Yeah.
And and you might have people they're really into like the bass. Or that snare drum's really crisp. But then you get some annoying, nagging, repetitive chant.
Yeah.
The girls all latch on.
They love it.
And then all the nerdy blokes are like, I want to dance with the girls, so I'll get into this one.
Every single time.
But it's all about hooks. I mean, pop music.
Yeah.
I'm not precious about what I do. It's pop music. I'm not saying I'm underground or anything like that. It's the best
type of pop music, but I would say, like, I think that you've it's like it's not even a formula either, because you can't say that. It's like you've changed the formula, I think, most albums. But I think that it's like definitely you've got a perfect mix of like stuff. That's why I was coming back to like me being into that when I was younger. It was probably that. It was these bits of tracks that I'd maybe heard before or whatever, and it's like that's what draws you in. That's what makes you like be a fan of it, because you're like,
because for instance, like Bird of Prey, you've got like the Jim Morrison spouting at the end of the acid generation of the 60s, mixed with a kind of vaguely a nod to drum and bass in the drum programming, but with like a sort of ethereal pad in the middle.
When you say it like that as well, it's like, what was the 11-year-old me doing? Actually, listen, like enjoying that. It's absolutely
I like the idea that messing with an 11-year-old's brain.
No, you've totally changed the course of my life, and I'm like, what was I actually doing sitting in my bathroom listening? Because the cassette player was in my bathroom at my granny and granddad's, right? And I would like play it in there. They had this like weird like little dressing table and thing, and so I would sit in there and put the shower on and just like sit at the dressing table. It was weird, the weirdest thing ever, right?
Just wanking yourself into oblivion.
Into absolute oblivion, right? No, it was fucking mental. And I was like sitting and listening to them fucking tunes, and I'm like, what am I doing? And then the tape was obviously completely fucked afterwards as well. But yeah, mate, it's mad. It's like it's funny because now as well, it's like when you look back and you go, fucking hell, like a lot of the tracks that you fucking made back in the day were like pretty pivotal, like tracks for me. Because I like, now that I DJ now and all that sort of stuff, and now signed to Southern Fried now as well. So it's like, I mean, if you hadn't been making those tracks, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. So I bet there's a lot of artists that are probably in that situation. How does that make you feel that like that you've probably been the catalyst for a lot of artists?
I kind of like there's a lot of DJs who tell me that I'm the reason that they became a DJ, or I'm the reason they got into dance music.
I'm not the first.
No, I've got a few notches on my bedpost, which I'm kind of some really big ones.
Yeah.
But I kind of like that.
Yeah.
But what I really like is just soundtracking people's lives.
Yeah.
People going, I met my girlfriend listening to this tune.
Yeah.
Or somebody once told me they lost their virginity to one of my tunes. Which sort of freaked me out.
Fucking in heaven.
At the same time, I said. But it's No, I get more of a thrill out of being there because music is the soundtrack of our lives. It's
Big
like
time.
if your life is a film, it's music is the thing that heightens the tension or the excitement
time.
or the joy of it. So I prefer it's more innocent enjoyment of music rather than someone goes, "Oh, I studied what you did, and it made me want to do it." And especially if they then go on and do it better than me.
Yeah, fuck.
It's like, you don't get the same kind of satisfaction. No, I love it when people say, you know, I fell in love with my girlfriend dancing to that record of yours, or that's, you know, there's people, you know, I mean, lots of people get married to my tunes and things like that.
Mad.
And I always like,
oh, that's class. I think that, like, obviously it's like, like you just said, you hear that over the years, and like fucking, it'd probably be easy to become a little bit like, you know, hearing it over and over again, and like hearing like, oh, this and that, like about the tracks that you've, you know, soundtracked their lives to. But I think that, like, as I meet with you right now, you're actually quite a humble person. You're quite grounded and down to earth. I think that, like, so how have you managed to kind of stay like that through such a mental career? Like, you've honestly had an insane, I didn't realize how insane it was until I was like researching this week. But like, how have you managed to kind of still be like kind of so chill?
I don't know. I just kind of guess that's the kind of person I am.
Yeah.
I think I think Zoe, my wife of 18 years, helped because she was there during the really mental bit.
Yeah.
And she was quite good at, she's very down to earth as well.
Yeah.
And she was way more famous than me. And it's like, I saw the way that she treated people and just, you know, I mean, the thing is, it's not real. I love the magic and the intrigue and the beauty of music and the way it can lead people's emotions or soundtrack their emotions. And I love the power it has.
Yeah.
But the fame bit of it, it's just bollocks. Yeah. It's just like it doesn't actually, it's not anything tangible. But I suppose emotions and your emotional response to music isn't tangible either. But the fame thing is just like, it's how people see you.
Yeah. And
I was talking, I was doing a Q&A the other day, and they said, they said, I saw you in Waitrose, you and Zoe in Waitrose doing your shopping. So then I realised that you are normal people who need to eat.
Yeah.
And I'm like, duh.
Yeah.
So,
buying toilet roll. Do you know what I mean? Like,
right. So
fucking helmet.
You know, but it's like, and I do it myself. I put people on a pedestal. Yeah. I think, oh, you must be really important. Then you meet them and work with them, and they realise that they are good at what they do, and they do provide entertainment and enjoyment for people. But they're still human beings. They're still fallible, and a lot of them, you know, with the genius comes other fallibilities in their lives. You know? Right, they're not necessarily any happier than the rest of us either. So yeah, I mean, I've got a strange relationship with fame. It's kind of it's not the reason why I do this. No. But I'm not saying it's bollocks. But it's just not really. It's just a bit of a game. It's just like a laugh. I mean, half the fun I get from doing the check-in, or working in my cafe during lockdown. Oh yeah, it's just it makes me laugh that it's like, well, this just shows the absurdity.
Do you get people like shocked, or like, is it quite funny to deal with that?
I get a real kick out of seeing people's face going, what? And then it's like, oh God, has it come to this? You know, like when I was working at the cafe, that people go like, oh my God, has it come to this? I'm like, yeah, apparently so. Yeah.
The tunes have really fallen off.
Yeah. But it's, no, I mean, I have to deal with the concept of celebrity, you know, in my daily life. And my kids have to, you know, accept that both their parents get stopped in the street for photos. But it's not actually kind of real at the end of it. And you can have fun playing with it. And I have fun responding to people on Instagram and freaking them out and sending them video, sending people stupid videos.
It's so close as well. See, nowadays with social media, you can honestly be like that as well now. And it would like.
But even to be honest, at the end of the answer to your question is that's just the kind of person I am. Yeah. And it's not a career move or something that I do on purpose or even realise I'm doing it until people go, oh yeah. What was it? Someone earlier said, who's the guy out of Foo Fighters?
Dave
Grohl. They said, you're actually nicer than Dave Grohl. So it's like there's this sort of secondary battle going on of like not who's the most famous person, but who's the nicest guy in show business.
Yeah.
Which I'm not about. Again, I don't really want that.
I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing.
I think it's just my parents brought me up nice. They brought me up not to have too selfish, inflated ego, not to be a dick. Yeah. And they brought me up to the if you're nice to people, generally they tend to be nice to you back.
You get more with sugar than you do with vinegar. That's what
exactly.
It is.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take a little bit of a sidestep, right?
Okay.
We'll go back to the Fatboy thing. Like when you transitioned from the Big Beat boutique, right, and you were doing club shows and you were going about and you were doing all that stuff. What was it like? You know, what was it like transitioning into like big stuff? Like, you know, like that move. You wouldn't have been used to playing like stadiums and stuff like that. What was that like? The transition.
It was very exciting. It was a little. If I was doing it now at my age, I might be a little daunted, sort of imposter syndrome. Okay. But because I was young and off my nut, I didn't really care. I'm like, put me on the main stage. Yeah, I'll do it. And so, I mean, the only thing we learned quite early on was, I think it was actually I had to follow the Foo Fighters.
Dave,
I think
we spoke about him twice now.
Yeah, well, he follows me around. We follow each other around. I think it was somebody like the Foo Fighters I had to follow at Tea in the Park, and they had all these sort of drum kits and amps, and they wheeled all them off, and then they got this little table, and they put it right down the front of the stage with 2 record players on it and a mixer in the middle, and then Gary, my manager, was going, right, you're on, and it was like a 35-foot walk to the front of the stage, and it was like, and there was this big crowd,
Tina Park,
and I was like, what am I going to do? I'm just going to go on there and play records. So as I was walking across, I kind of sort of went like that, and they went, hey, and I went, hey,
that's my thing. That's my thing.
And in that moment, I sort of this new persona of this showy, offy DJ. So we realised that we had to raise our game. That if you're going to play to crowds that big, you've got to not do more than just put records on.
Yeah.
So tried to put more pizzazz into the show. Yeah. And then obviously, we tried to put more into production. Because obviously it's quite static. Even if I'm showing my tits off, I still have to stay pretty much rooted to put the next record on. And so then we started using more like visuals and stuff like that, and looking for ways of making a show befitting a stage of that size, just to try and fill the stage. Because it's quite weird when you look, it's like it's a 35, and there's no, you can't. Yeah, so
really see what's going on.
We had to up our game, and nowadays it's really easy because you've got LED and and you can trigger stuff. But it was we just had to put more thought and money into making the show more than just a DJ playing records, and more than just a show-off DJ showing off while playing records.
It's still good though.
It's still that's still half my life.
I think you could just put your hands up. I think if we turn this off tomorrow, we'll have a test.
Half of my life, I still play in clubs, and when there's no production or anything like that, it's just me.
Would you say you prefer the clubs or the big stages, like the huge stages?
I prefer doing the clubs. I have more fun playing smaller venues where I feel more of a connection with the crowd. Yeah, because that's another thing. Is like you build these big things, and then you're so disconnected from the crowd. You're just I love that rapport and interaction between the crowd. I love being them egging me on by their eyes or their what they're doing. Yeah. I'm always got eye contact with everybody. Yeah. I'm seeing, is this working?
How they're moving,
and they encourage me to, and they encourage me what direction to go. But then the big show is only going to go in one direction, which is big and bigger. Yeah, and a lot of the time it's got to follow certain routes because that's what I've rehearsed with my production people. Yeah. So when I'm in a club, I just feel freer. I just feel more relaxed. I can have more fun. I don't have to take it so seriously, and it's just pure enjoyment for me. Yeah. Whereas the shows, the big shows, are kind of a thrill, but they're quite hard work. Yeah. I have to think I have to not fuck things up. Yeah. I have to only play really big tunes and not let up for 1 minute. And I have to, tell my crew that I'm going to play this next, and I'm thinking about 5 things at once. Yeah. Whereas playing in a club, I'm only thinking about one thing.
Tunes.
Are you going to get turned on by the next record I play, or are you going to get turned on if I do this to it?
Yeah.
And that's
it's kill the bass.
Yeah. Is that going to turn you? Are you turned on?
Well, it always does, mate. It always does. You kill the bass and put it back in.
Wait till it comes back, then you'll really
you'll love
shit your pants, Yeah. So it's a very more intimate relationship with the crowd. and it's just more relaxing and fun.
Yeah, that's honestly, it's quite a common thing from DJs to say that.
And also, you can try out new things. You can try out new tunes. You don't, if you're past a certain size of crowd, you don't take risks.
No.
Don't take, unless you're really, I mean, maybe I don't know.
I think you could probably take the risks now.
Fred again probably does.
He probably
winging
does.
it a lot. But I'm too old to take risks. So, but in a club, I will.
Yeah.
I will,
So like when the music, like now, are you still like hunting? Are you still hunting for music? Are you still
all
doing
week.
the digging and that?
That's what I do all week.
Yeah.
Yeah. When my kids are at school during the day, that's all I do. I just plow through everything. I just troll the internet. I get sent an awful lot of stuff.
Can imagine.
Get sent an awful lot of stuff, and I listen to all of it. And someone said the other day, it's like, what, you listen to it yourself? Like, you don't have like kind of a guy who does it for you? And I'm like, no, I wouldn't trust them to know what idiosyncratic. Like I know what's going to fit in my set.
Yeah.
So I spend an awful lot of time, and I still take great joy in playing through every single thing that I'm sent. And I mean, some of it only gets 6 seconds. It's like, it's a drum and bass record.
I like that. I like that little drum break.
Yeah, and some only gets played for 6 seconds.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Like, oh, you're a progressive trance tune. Are you?
It's
Okay,
off.
next. But everything gets a listen.
Yeah.
And then the joy when I do find a tune that really turns me on, that I know will fit into my set. It's like, and then I can't wait to play it to people. And that, it only happens kind of maybe twice a week. If you think the hours and hours of no, and then you're like,
maybe,
no. And then it's like, oh, and then I'm dancing around the room going,
that's good.
And
you're still getting that feeling now.
I still get that excitement. I still get that joy that my job is to listen to people's music, and
it's your job.
Yeah, and to I could be plucking chickens in a factory. My job is to listen to music and then to get to travel around and have a laugh playing it with people. Yeah.
It's so good.
But the joy of listening to music is still there, and the excitement when you find a cracking tune.
I can tell just by speaking to you just now that you get a serious done out of finding a good tune.
Yeah,
You're like, that's good.
And then the first time I play it, I always like I
hope
do
they
a
like
special.
it.
If they're liking it, I do a special dance, which is I haven't danced to this tune 20 times before dance.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm learning it with you now. Then I'm really dancing. Because a lot of times it's like, I know the tune so well and how they fit in the set and everything.
That's good.
But a new tune is like, it gets a special dance from me.
That's
like,
good.
Hi, we're new friends.
Mate, it's good. It's honestly, that'll be quite good for producers to hear as well, that you're actually still out there seeking music and doing that thing. Because I think that when it comes to like from being on the other end, being a producer, sending music out to people, and you're always like worried that like it just falls on deaf ears and it's got to go through a serious process to even get to your ears. But it's good. It'll be good for producers.
Well, it's nice. I love, and it connects me with people as well.
Yeah.
Because I know that if I don't react, I get sent like literally like 50, 60 emails a day.
Oh mate,
of new tunes, and it's a lot to go through. And basically, basically, if I don't reply, that means I've run out. But I've run out of polite ways of saying, well, it's really good, but not for my search. But when there's a tune I like, I respond, and it's amazing how quickly that gets back to the artist in this digital age.
Yeah,
like the next day they'll go, Fatboy Slim likes my tune.
Yeah.
And then
on Instagram and everything.
I heard you like my tune. Like here's some other stuff by me, and it keeps me connected with, especially like with younger DJs. And they're like, I can't believe you heard it. It's like, well, I get sent everything.
It's mad.
So and yours fits what I do.
I think it's quite cool, like especially like with the labels and stuff that you're involved with. I think that's probably quite a cool thing, like to obviously keep as well, like.
Well, it's probably. I mean, it's probably the only way really that I keep an ear to the ground of what's going on, because at my age I don't go out. On my nights off, I do not go to a nightclub to check out.
Obviously not. I mean,
so I don't get to see a lot of the DJs, but I hear the tunes. Yeah. And I kind of, that's my radar.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. So I'm going to do another little sidestep, right? We'll come back to Southern Fried later on. But so over the years, right, one of the other big things with Fatboy Slim has been the music videos. The music videos are like, I would say they're an integral part of who Fatboy Slim is. Like it's like almost like you always know that if there's a Fatboy Slim single coming out, there's going to be a banging music video. And over the years, your music videos have I mean, they're actually legendary. Like, I pretty much like they're the only ones I could probably name what is happening in them. What was I mean, obviously it was a sign of the times. Like at that time, it was MTV and all that sort of stuff. What was like the thinking behind really, really driving the music videos and making sure they stood out so much? You had Christopher Walken in one of your videos.
Well, I mean,
absolutely
the answer really with the videos is I can't take much credit for them.
No.
It was all the directors that I worked with.
Yeah.
They would come up with really stupid ideas. And my only real contribution was to persuade the record companies to pay for them.
It.
And sometimes that was quite hard work, like with the Praise You video and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The record companies going, this is like, what? And then and it originally got knocked back by MTV. They said this video is substandard and we think you might be taking the piss. And we're like, yep.
We are.
And but that was the joke.
Yeah.
That was the joke. It's like you've got all these glossy videos of people, women with enormous breasts dancing around and everyone's got drinking champagne. It's like, let's just do something stupid that's funny and cheap. But that was all Spike's idea. He came to me with that idea for Rockefeller Skank.
Yeah.
But it was too late for him to do that video, so he did that on Praise You, and then he did Christopher Walken one, Weapon of Choice.
Yeah.
And I went with Roman Coppola, who was Francis Ford Coppola's son, who just blew shit up in slow motion. So my only role really was talking to the record companies, and they go, "What, you're really going to spend your money to do this?" I'm like, "Trust me, I think it's a great idea, and it's going to create an impact."
Yeah.
Because in those days, sort of pre-internet, that was your only way of getting your point across, and people, they put so much money into those adverts that they became like adverts. It was just like, and who can spend the most money and do the most lavish video and make themselves look as sexy and beautiful as possible.
Not really thinking about like actually what's in it, and let's
there was no sort of substance to it.
Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't any substance to what we did, but it's like, fuck it, let's just do something stupid.
It was the start of, I think, like obviously with Spike Jonze being involved with that music video, it's like he was starting to obviously do Jackass and all that sort of stuff, and it's like the start of like kind of things being quite gonzo and quite like
I mean, I kind of think sometimes I look back at Praise You and think, well, that was the original kind of viral.
Yeah, it was. It was
like it's just get a stupid idea and do it on a budget.
That's what I've got on my thing.
Oh, really?
It's the first. I was like, it's what the first.
I'm
guiding it that way
because it's like doing something that's a good idea, but it's not professionally done.
Yeah.
But it's a good idea, or it might not be a good idea. But if it isn't, it doesn't matter because
it's funny.
And it's funny, and there is, people go, what was the reason why you had Christopher Walken tap dancing in the videos? Like, because we thought it would be funny,
and it was.
We're not making any point. It's just entertaining, a little bit wrong and a little bit stupid, but entertaining. Yeah,
it was so good. Honestly, that's like it's something I had to speak about because it's like those videos over the years. I remember the Christopher.
But I mean, you would have to talk to the directors about.
I know. I don't think I'm going to get a chance to do that because they're all fucking massive directors and like pure. But I thought I'd ask you, get maybe a little bit of an insight. But honestly, it's mad. Some of the music videos over the years have been unreal. Ruben, my son's favorite music video is the one when it goes through like, I don't know what song it was for. That's so bad of me. But it's from, like the Evolution one.
Yeah, right here, right now.
That's his favorite video. And he's like, honestly, totally chokes for it. He thinks it's like genius that it like does
Which
that.
is really weird because there's no CGI in those days. No. It's quite clunky.
Yeah.
It's quite clunky. And that one, when it was pictured,
it's like claymation.
There's these crazy Swedish directors who've never done anything, like big before. And they're going to do like creation.
Yeah.
And like, sort of evolution in 3 minutes. On a tiny budget.
You went, okay, I'll ask the label.
It's evolution from plankton to the Fatboy.
I know.
And I was like, that sounds good. And they showed me a couple of little models.
Yeah.
But it was all done with models and no special effects whatsoever.
Unreal.
And again, people sort of, said, I thought it was really good. It's educational for people to learn about, the evolution of species. It's like, that wasn't our intention.
Aim.
No, I suppose one in the eye for people who question Darwin.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I guess
religious fanatics who pretend that evolution didn't happen. It's like it definitely happened. I've seen it in that Fatboy Slim video.
Yeah, they'll
definitely
be like,
happened.
Definitely 100%. So, obviously, I'm not going to do an interview with Fatboy Slim and not speak about Big Beach with you.
Right.
It was right. I know. Look,
no. I still just get a little shudder.
Do you know what? Can I tell you? Right, that mix was the soundtrack to my afters parties, like for years. We used to honestly come back and we would stick that mix on because it was like, I mean, it's banging. It's so good. So like, and obviously you got a chance to go back and do Brighton Beach again and do all that. So many years down the line now, you're looking back and I think maybe some people might have seen the documentary right here, right now. Like, looking back now, do you think that like, how do you feel about like how it went and how like the sort of lasting impact of like the gig went?
I think the lasting impact is it kind of feels more important now looking back at it.
Yeah.
And especially when we were making the documentary, looking back at the footage, I'm like, my God, that was mental.
It was unreal.
It's like, I was there, and it's even more mental than I remember it. But I think at that point, it was just, there was so much going on at that point. We were so busy. Yeah. It was just one of many stupid, crazy things that we did. But that one, obviously it resonated because it was my hometown and because it was such a bizarrely oversubscribed event, you know, and it was, but you know, it's like, you know, people jokingly called it Normstock, you know, and sort of likened it to Woodstock. And I sort of brushed that off. And
yeah,
said,
it's not.
It was great for me with my relationship with the city I lived in and my relationship with dance music that to do like such a big event and just to prove to the world that there were that many of us who were into raving, you know. Yeah. But it was only looking back at it 20 years later thinking that sort of was not up there with Woodstock, but in dance music terms, it was a big moment. It was a pivotal moment in the way that outdoor events like that were run. It was like, you know, and it was a pivotal, it was a sort of pivotal moment. And I can, with the benefit of history, I can look back and think it was quite important.
You look at the people that were in the documentary, like they're all like Simon Pegg and these people that are like all doing things now, eats everything, like they were all like, there was people that were there that were like, you know what I mean, they took that on board. That was a big part of their lives and like kind of maybe guided a lot of the things that they ended up creating afterwards. So I think it was pretty mad.
Yeah, I mean, I'm proud of it. There was, you know, it was just sort of, it was tinged with the sort of the fact that it felt like it was on the brink of disaster as I was doing it. I mean, it was not my favourite gig in the world to do because I had so much people shouting at me going, the police, okay, we've got to stop for 5 minutes, get those people off there because they're going to drown. Yeah. And all the way through, the police said, if we come up and say stop, don't argue. Just take the record off and take the needle off the record and walk off and go and hide in your dressing room. you know, lock your dressing room. So it was. We knew it was kind of on the brink of disaster, which means it wasn't like the most enjoyable gig I've ever done. But looking back on it, I do agree that it was quite a sort of milestone in kind of the rave story.
Yeah, it was. I think it was like the end of like the kind of the free parties, I would say. I don't know what else you call it, but like, you know, like just people turning up and then putting the speakers on and doing that. And then I think it was like, then everything became quite organized afterwards. I think it was maybe quite fitting that you were the person that, you know what I mean, that you were the last one to do that. I think that was quite an important thing for UK dance music. I think it was a big deal.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking, looking back, I'm quite proud of it.
You should be proud. You should be proud. I think it was a big thing. And it's obviously, like I've said with multiple other things in this conversation, like it's probably changed the direction of a lot of people that were there's lives. I mean, like,
what we were saying about soundtracking people's lives, that's the thing I loved was when Jack, the director, and then found these people and he'd like put stuff out going, were you there? Have you got a good story? Yeah. And these people, you know, children who were born, who wouldn't have been born, had their parents not met each other at that. And that, I love stuff like that. Yeah. And there would have been a lot of that then. Like there would have been a lot of things like people's would have changed their lives, I think, a lot. And that's I've yet to find a child that was actually conceived during the gig. I would like that.
Mate, there were probably a few, like, let's just be honest, right? But there's probably a few.
That would be the ace for me.
Yeah. Mate, we're fucking like, look, is there any? Fucking hit us up. You know what I mean? But there's obviously over the years you've played a lot of gigs. I was actually going to try and like figure out how many gigs you'd played, but gave up. It's fucking
I have no idea either.
Right. What would you say would be like your most memorable gig, I would say, since you started DJing?
I think I'd have to lump the Glastonburys together. But again, you see, someone said it like, because I play Glastonbury a lot.
Yeah.
Like every year, and then I do at least 2 or 3 shows every year.
Yeah.
So I said, how many times have you done it? I said, I honestly, I don't know. And they said, should we count it up? And I'm like, not sure we'd even actually be able to count it up because we can't. Because a lot of them were just like,
mad.
Went and did, like, wandered off and ended up playing in that bar for an hour,
Yeah.
So I don't actually count them up.
Your...
So I can't actually count up how many I've done, but I do remember particular moments of emotion where you feel the power of what music can do.
Yeah.
Tend to happen at Glastonbury.
Okay.
Whether it's headline acts just bringing people to tears or new acts breaking through, having their great defining moment. They did this one great slot at Glastonbury and that put them up to, But for me, some of the greatest sort of most spiritual bits of DJing where you just look up and think, this is the most beautiful thing in the world. There's feeling the energy and the love that is coming out of the crowd, because the Glastonbury crowd is kind of a different entity. It's more connected and it's more cohesive than a lot of crowds. It's not sort of disparate tribes. It's all these people united with this one, again, like my fans say, by the love of Glastonbury and a sense of humour, plus a desire to get completely off your chops.
Yeah.
And it's like a heady brew, but it's there's a almost perfect feeling of the power of music to unite people and bring them together and give them just the most spiritual experience.
Would there be a favourite? Like, I know it's really nitpicky. Would there be a favourite year that you've played Glastonbury?
No, I can't remember.
I can't remember.
There was wet ones, there was dry ones.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I couldn't pinpoint it down to one. Every time I think, I was at that time.
That one was a bit bad.
That time on the crane with Dan Eats Everything, and there was, but I mean, pivotal moments in my career. I mean, when I first put on the Bumblebee outfit.
Yeah. There?
Yeah, I was playing at Las Vegas at like 2 a.m, and
you're not roasting.
And I had this women's Bumblebee outfit, and I decided, again, a bit like the videos, it's like for no particular reason, it would be really, really good for me to, during the set, change into a Bumblebee. So I started, and it was a muddy one. I started like with wellies on. Took my wellies off, took my trousers off, put a pair of tights on, put the wellies back on, played another couple of tunes. And there's people going,
what the hell's he doing?
He's off. He's really lost it this time. And then played a couple more tunes, and then took my jacket off and like a tutu on.
Yeah. Oh.
And then gradually over the 2 hours, by the end of it, I was completely Bumblebee. Still, I had to keep the wellies on because the stage was covered in shit. Yeah. But by the end, I had antennas, I had wings, and a full female tutu Bumblebee outfit.
By the end, you're like, what have I done?
And I just felt the most like relaxed I've ever felt on stage.
You're in your spot.
I mean, obviously, I was pretty chemically relaxed.
Yeah, mate.
And I did it, and I came off stage, and Gary, my manager, just went, I think that was a turning point of your career. He said, I'm not sure if it was good or bad. He said, but something very, very fundamental just happened. And so I think that probably was my perfect moment. Yeah, so DJing whilst freeing myself from the last shackles of reality or sense, through music, and people just going with it. There's a shot of me dressed as a bumblebee with some angle grinding woman lighting my fag with sparks coming out of her crotch.
Did you get it lit?
Yeah. Lighting my fag with sparks coming out of her crotch, and me just nonchalantly going,
yeah, sweet, cheers. Thank you.
Like it was the most normal thing in the world.
Mate, that's so good. That sounds like Glasgow to me. Like, that sounds crazy. You're not the first person to say Glasgow, by the way. It seems like one of those places. It seems quite
it goes to a higher level, I think. Yeah. Higher level of stupidity, a higher level of beauty and love, and a higher level of just abandon. Yeah, abandoned to what human beings are capable of doing. But the good stuff,
you see new things there. You see new things there. Yeah. I'm hoping I go down. I'm hoping I get down there next year. It looks mental. It looks so good. I kind of want to speak about Southern Fried again. Okay. A little bit. Kind of moving into the back end, like what I want to speak. I'm literally down to the last card.
You're cracking through it, aren't you?
I'm honestly smashing through them. I didn't even fling any of them. But so yeah, I just kind of want to speak about like Southern Fried now, this kind of new era of Southern Fried, and how you feel how you feel like at Southern Fried's identity, like obviously as it started and how it is now, like the ethos behind the label, and we kind of touched on it earlier on, but just kind of like you're thinking when you're picking up new artists and all that sort of stuff.
Well, I feel sorry to admit that I'm not really kind of driving the label anymore.
No.
And it is, I love its kind of identity and its sheer existence in this day and age to have a record company, but it's not my baby anymore. It's kind of grown up, and
you've let it free.
Yeah, I've let it go out and into the big wide world. Because if you think, when we were talking about putting records out where we would just press 1,000, they were the first Southern Fried records.
Okay.
The first 10 Southern Fried records were all me. And basically, if I made a tune and no record company would put it out, they went, "No, this is too stupid."
Yeah.
Then me and my manager Gary would put it out on Southern Fried Records, and I think like the first 10 were me under different aliases, just putting out interesting records that nobody else wanted, and then some of them really stuck, and then but we didn't have even a letterhead, let alone office or a label. We weren't, we were selling records off the back of a van, and then if they did get big, we would then license them to FFRR or people like that. And then they would take them on. So then after this happened a few times, we're like, well, why don't we next time, rather than licensing it on to someone, why don't we do it? Maybe, an employee, an office, like a logo and things like that. So it just naturally grew into a record company. Yeah. And then around that time, I was having a real kind of purple period in my career. So there was meeting people and people giving me like white labels and things, and I'd pay it. And it was like, Rocket, it's like, when's this coming out? It's like, well, we haven't got a label. It's like, should we put it out on my label? Yeah. And that happened quite a lot. And then, but I was very much involved in the A&Ring those days. And gradually,
physically getting handed the records, so it's like, I'm taking it in and I'm going to play it. And
I would just go and say, look, I really like this tune. Can we put it out on Southern Fried? It was like, yeah. And the only it was like, there was no real kind of, will it be a hit? I don't know, but can we put it out on Southern Fried? Yeah. So we kept it at that level, but then it got quite distorted when we had like big hits with Armand and people. It kind of and Elton John at number one. It's like, hold on, how did this happen? This is what I spoke, and it turned into like a bona fide record label. But then like when streaming started and downloading, it went the way of most bona fide record labels, which was really struggled because no one was buying physical records anymore. Yeah. So I'm very happy that it's been kind of resurrected and that it still exists and that we never actually went bankrupt when many independent record labels did. Yeah. But I'm not, as you probably know from not having been tutored
emailing me.
I haven't been on your case.
I know.
So I'm pretty hands off these days. I'm very proud, but it's not really. Yeah, like I said, it's not really.
What about like the direction of the label at the moment, though? Do you feel like it's still on that path of like kind of?
I think it's still. I think it's still very much at the cutting edge. Yeah. Probably because I'm not at the helm of it, because younger people are doing the A&R rather than a 60-year-old
doing it. Then it's fine. Do you know what I mean?
A 60-year-old is not going to be at the cutting edge of dance music. No, I think it's still retaining that ethos of putting out interesting records that might be hits rather than trying to have hits by putting out band records.
That's a good way to look at it.
And I think that's continued, and that's a worthy thing.
It's good. It's honestly, it's cool. It's like, it's obviously a big, pretty mental moment for me getting signed to Southern Fried, because I was like, my like when I started playing music was like Crookers and all that sort of stuff was coming through. So I was kind of like a big fan of Southern Fried, and then obviously Armand Van Helden because he's a total legend as well. So yeah, it was a big deal. Is there any artists at the moment, apart from me, obviously? That you'd say that you're like really, really on the radar, like you're looking at them and you're going, they're a really big up and coming artists?
No, I think that comes back to like we were saying about my role as a 60-year-old. I don't hang around in clubs, so I don't get to hear these things. So the only stuff I get to hear is what the record company sent me. So it's already been signed. I don't get sent so much unsigned stuff. Yeah. So, and I'm not. Yeah, I suppose, I'm not, if you're a young, up and coming artist, you think, shall I send it to Grandad? Like, I'm probably not on their,
send it.
I'm probably not on their mailing list,
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I kind of get the finished product rather than the demos these days.
Okay, fair enough. So there's no artist you want to mention at all. There's no one that you're playing in your sets. Maybe you might be playing somebody in your sets just now. That's like, what's your favorite record you're playing just now? Then
the favorite record I'm playing at the moment is called "Kiss Me" by. Oh God, see, I can't remember. Floor Magnet.
Okay, right, cool. There we go.
Floor Magnet.
It's something we could throw in the pod and let people hear it as well.
Yeah. So, Kiss Me, the acid dub.
Okay.
By Floor Magnet, who is Swedish, but one of them lives in Derry.
Yeah.
And it's strange because I think it's sort of the second track on the B side, and it's a dub.
Yeah.
I didn't like the vocals, so I played the dub. But they sort of got excited. They heard that I was playing it, and they've sort of seen it online that I'm playing it. And I've met them. I've met some of them in Sweden, some of them in Derry. And they're really nice guys, and they're like, "Oh, you want to do more stuff?" It's like, I really haven't got time. Sorry to, my life is filled with being a DJ and getting things that work in my set.
Yeah.
But the idea of developing. But then there's a guy called Luca Guerri, who I did a mashup where I put one of my vocals over his tunes.
Yeah.
And then it's probably going to be my next single.
Okay.
And then rather than me sort of ape what I did, and I said, well, let's do it as a collab.
Yeah.
So yeah, Luca Guerri. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing my Italian pronunciation.
Maybe just put a picture in there as well.
So there are people that I'm kind of sort of working with, and but then none of them are unsigned. All of them had
They're all on their way.
Yeah.
So obviously, speaking about Southern Fried, 500 releases coming up. Is it going to be a Fatboy Slim tune?
Well, wouldn't that be just beautiful?
How poetic would that be?
That would be, just.
Is it going to be?
Like I said, it would be apt, wouldn't it?
Fucking tell me.
No, I can't tell you. It's not just you I'm telling you. It's your millions of viewers out there.
That's what I want. I want the exclusive. But yeah, no, I appreciate you sitting with me and doing this podcast, by the way, and using your finite time to speak to me. And
well, thanks for being interested. Thanks for being on the label, and thanks for and thanks for coming. I do hope you enjoy the My Head experience.
I'm really going to enjoy it. I'm about to cut loose in about 5 minutes.
Excellent. Work is over. Let the play begin.
Mate, thank you so much.
Thanks,
cheers.